feel alive. I'm just trying to make you feel something.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to episode 3 of The Sleepover. It's your host, Sleep D's, and a lot to talk about today. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to everybody on Patreon that is supporting what I'm doing. It means a lot. I know some of the topics from last week were kind of heavy, and I'm glad that you guys got a chance to listen. I also received an interesting email in response to last week's episode, so we'll see where that goes. But, just all the support that I get from the fans listening, it really helps me be able to tackle some of these subjects and get some of these things out that I normally wouldn't get a chance to voice and get out from, I don't want to say a fear of losing opportunities, but that's a very real thing in my business. When you get loud about certain subjects, you lose work. And so I'm grateful for the support and sticking with me and just going on this ride. I have a fun announcement for you guys that I'm pretty excited about. This announcement goes out later today on the official channels, I believe, or tomorrow or something like that. But I'm going to let you guys know first that I am speaking at KCON this weekend. I have a panel that I am being featured on called The Next Big Producer. And I'm not sure which day it is. I'll get all that information really soon. It's been in the works for like a month or so. And we got all the details finalized last week. So I will be speaking at KCON. This is my first time going to KCON. I think it's my first time. Maybe I went a long time ago. I don't know. But I'll be excited to be there. Hopefully, I see some of you guys there, some of you guys that are listening. If you are going to KCON, let me know on Twitter. We'd love to see you guys there. We'd love for you guys to come by and check out my panel when I'm speaking. I think it's an hour long or 45 minutes or something like that. And I think it's full Q&A at some point too. So you can ask some questions in person and come check out the panel. It should be a fun time. So I will be at KCON this week, and I wanted to do a ticket giveaway in the Patreon. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that or not, because it's all come together so late. But if you are LA Army and you want to go to KCON, I want to try to make that happen in the Patreon. So I'll let you guys know about that. I hope everybody enjoyed that Chef Boyardee's making my seafood boil ramen and getting into the new Jimin album, which is pretty fire so far. I'm really digging it. A few songs are starting to grow on me a little bit more. I really like the single, Who. Also, the record, Be Mine. I'm really liking that one. That was the one I kind of listened to a few times a day. I like that a lot. Also got a chance to check out the Childish Gambino album. Really interesting. Industrial pop, a lot of different sonics. The thing about that's cool is he released a movie trailer. And the movie trailer is for a film coming out later this year, but he put the soundtrack out before the movie. So it's kind of like reading a book where you kind of hear the music, hear the themes, and there's dialogue sprinkled throughout. And you get a chance to, I guess, kind of picture in your head what is happening and what the movie is going to be about. So that was a cool concept. And LA's very own Blast. I haven't got a chance to listen to that yet, but I'm going to listen to that this week. So love new music. Going to definitely check out those 3 projects some more this week while I'm riding around and see how they hit me. I also got a chance to do some more filming with my boy Varnell last week. So we got some new episodes coming this week and next week and the week after that. We've been doing a lot of filming. I didn't want to put anything out last week because Jimin was putting out a project and I wanted to get a chance to do something for that in particular. So we got some more fun episodes on the way for you. So I appreciate you guys tuning in to that. I took a day to rest yesterday. I've been a bit tired from all the editing and filming and stuff like that. So it was nice to relax some. And I actually got a chance to watch some TV, which I don't get a lot of time to, but I love film so much. I think you can probably tell from the things I've been filming and putting out that I enjoy this process. And I have an eye for film, and I have been watching Supercell on Netflix. Amazing show, so fire. I don't really binge shows, so the fact that I kind of ran through these episodes all in one day is pretty crazy. It felt good to just kind of chill and watch it. But if you haven't seen it, I super recommend it. Supercell is set in London, I think, and it's these kids who get some superpowers, and it's a really dope cast, and the acting is actually really good. So check that out on Netflix. And lastly, I want to highlight two minority-owned businesses from my city, two good friends of mine. If you've ever been thinking about getting a vending machine for your business, or if you ever wanted to get into owning vending machines as a side business, then I got somebody for you. The good people at Lucky Vending, they specialize in vending machine consultations, repairs, ensuring your vending machines are always in top shape. So if you need a machine, you need advice on how to get started with that, they are based in South LA. They have put a ton of healthy vending machines in underprivileged neighborhoods for kids who don't have access to healthy snacks while at school or at the park. And they're just doing amazing things in South LA. So you can reach out to them at www.luckyvending.com. I'll put the link to their socials in the description for this episode. And lastly, a good friend of mine, filmmaker Ricky Horn Jr., has created a fantasy/science fiction photographic novel. It's called Introduction to Sunlight, and it's set in a fictional town called Mud. And it's a town where the sun never shines and family doesn't exist, and it's powered by culture, competition, performance, and never care. And in this story, we'll witness the first discovery of love and how that affects the people in this town. So go to introductiontosunlight.com. That's introductiontosunlight.com. And you can check out some of the artwork. He's an amazing photographer, filmmaker. He shot all the photos and created this whole fictional world and wrote a really cool story. I got a chance to go check out a live reading of some of the excerpts, and it was really, really amazing. So go check that out. Link will be in the description for that. All right. So now let's get into it. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. This is like where I want to take a deeper dive into music, into lyrics, into things surrounding the industry, and really talk about it from some personal experiences and also just my own perspective that I want to share. Had a lot of positive feedback on first two episodes, and unfortunately, sometimes the negative ones can be a little more loud than you like them to be. But one that I wanted to point out, and I'm not going to shine too much negativity on stuff. You know, people are entitled to their own opinions. But someone told me that in my episode where I broke down No More Dream, that I misinterpreted the song. So I don't think that they understood that it's not about interpreting the song for you. I'm giving you my interpretation of it based off of my experiences, my expertise, and the parallels that the song makes me think of when I hear the lyrics or when I think about different parts of the song. I don't necessarily expect you to see it my way. It's just me offering a perspective, and if you like it, then that's cool. If you don't agree with it, that's also fine. You don't have to. So we started this episode talking about a lot of real love from Army, real love on Patreon, real love for the content. So now it's time to talk about some of this fake love. So for those that are not familiar with BTS, Fake Love is a song that they released in 2018 on the Love Yourself Answer album. The song was produced by P-Dog, who is the in-house producer at Big Hits, done a lot of their production over the years. Incredible producer. He's actually my co-producer on my time. Great guy. And the song itself is one of my favorite kind of love songs. For one, before I even talk about the song, this is one of those songs that you have to experience this song live at some point. It's definitely one of my favorites from the set list. And they have plenty that I like live, but I really enjoy this. The fan participation on this song, on the chorus, it actually scared the hell out of me the first time I heard it because I wasn't expecting it. And it's incredible. That's an electric record to hear performed live. And the reason why I like these kind of songs, I like when either a love song or a breakup song can be vague or placed to multiple situations. I like hearing when a love song or a breakup song you can think about a partner, you can think about somebody who's done you wrong or someone that you love. There's so many that come to mind. Back at One by Brian McKnight, like that sounds like a love song and so many people get married to it. I mean, it is a love song, but it's actually a song that he wrote about his daughter, he said in an interview. And I can't remember the music video, but I think he's with his daughter in the music video. But many people get married to that song. And so I love to be able to interpret songs and make the songs mean what you want them to mean. You know, one thing about creators is when we make music, we have our own interpretations. We have our own ideas of what we write the song about, because we're drawing often from personal experiences or personal experiences of people who are close to us. But we're also of the mind that once we release the song, it's no longer ours. The world owns the songs now. And that's where interpretation comes into play. You know, it's always fun being corrected on things like that. You know, it's interesting because, you know, I've seen people misinterpret my time incorrectly based on where we were at when we were writing it. But, you know, the song is ours. So whatever that song means to you, whatever comes to your mind when you hear the lyrics, that's what the song means to you. And that's what art is. It's to be interpreted and it's to be felt by the listener. In 2018, in an interview, RM said that fake love could refer to a relationship between two people. But then he also said that he thinks this song can be about a relationship between yourself and your ego. And that's something that I kind of want to tap into today. You know, I've always viewed making music as such a gift. And the way I think of it, it's almost like when you're creating an album or a body of work, or you're really locked in and focused on creating music, it's almost like we get to go to a place that most human beings can't go. And we get to go see things that are there. We get to write down notes and we get to bring it back and put it in song and melody for everybody else to experience and for everybody else to apply to their own lives in whichever way they see fit. When I'm writing songs, I like to put a lot of emphasis on opening lines and the line right before the chorus comes. And obviously the chorus itself is the most important part. But I love to have a strong moment right before a chorus comes. And on Fake Love, it's one of my favorite lines in the whole song. In a dream that can't come true, I raised a flower that couldn't bloom. I'm so sick of this fake love. This line could be interpreted in many different ways. You can draw parallels to your own life, I'm sure. I'm sure many of you have that have heard the song, which I'm assuming is most of you. And I have, you know, from the time I first heard the song and seen the translations to now, you know, you hear it at different points in your life. You think about different things. But this is the song that popped into my head when I saw the announcement that they were creating an Asian Grammy Awards. Now, let me go back just a little bit before I go into that. 2020, crazy year for everybody in existence, I'm sure. Map of the Soul 7 was released February 21st, 2020. Less than a month before the whole world went into lockdown. I was privy enough to see some of the tour concepts that were being worked on and some of the choreo and some of the plans for like this festival-esque type tour that was planned. And unfortunately, life had other plans. Universe had other plans. And we didn't get a chance to experience these songs in front of packed out stadiums around the world. And even if you could listen to the production on that album from start to finish, you can just tell that it was made to be performed in stadiums. It was a big expression. There's a lot of things we could harp on with that and have down feelings about the tour never happening. I always will. That will never go away. It's like almost like a loop that I didn't get to close. I'm very particular about finishing things that I start. And for me, creating music, the live show is like the culmination of like all the work that you put in on making a record be ready for the stage. And so unfortunately, that feels like a loop that won't get closed because we didn't get to see that live. But on the other hand, you know, on a more positive note, what a gift to give the fans across the world before going into something like a global pandemic, which was the first time I'm sure any of us experienced, unless you were around in 1918 and you're listening to this podcast. For those that are new here, that aren't familiar with the stats, this album was the most pre-ordered album in the history of music. Sold 400,000 plus in the first week. Went platinum RIAA, highest selling pop album of 2020. Critically acclaimed, got great Metacritic scores. Everything about this album was phenomenal, top to bottom. Great producers, great songwriters, Big Hits original team carrying the majority of the load. Also had mixed engineer extraordinaire Jason Joshua, control of the Sonics, mixed multiple records, including On, Black Swan, My Time, and I think 3 others on the album. Everything about this album was top tier. They came to America. They smashed Carpool Karaoke, Fallon, every late night show. They did their part, and they should have been rewarded for it properly. Leading up to November, all of the sites that place their bets and have the odds on which projects are going to be nominated for Grammys had Map of the Soul on the list. And then the day comes when Grammy nominations are released, and this is a day that every single year I congratulate my peers in the industry for their success during the year and being part of a project and them having a chance to win a Grammy. This is coming from someone who, 22, one of the first projects that I was around and a part of was nominated for Album of the Year. We lost to a very young Taylor Swift. We won for Pop Album of the Year at the Grammys that year. A few years later, I was back working on stuff for Lupe Fiasco, and I was nominated for Rap Album of the Year. And when you have a lot of success young, you kind of think it's going to be like that every single year. You don't realize how hard it can be to get back to those levels. You know, life happens, different things happen that kind of take you away from your craft. You can get jaded by it. You know, I've done this my entire adult life. There were times in the 20 teens where I was trying to figure out a few other things that I might want to do. And, you know, to get back to this level, to work on a project that was so huge that everybody thought was a shoo-in to be nominated for Album of the Year, Pop Album of the Year, and multiple Grammys, to wake up and feel like we got snubbed that morning, it just really, really, really hit me hard. And I got online that morning and I seen how hard Army took it. And I know for a fact personally that the guys took it hard. And as creators, you know, on one hand, I want to say that, you know, we don't make music with a Grammy in mind. But when you do make something that's great, you do want to be rewarded for it. At the end of the day, for musicians, I don't care what, you know, Drake said about not wanting to submit music for the Grammys anymore, or The Weeknd, or any of these people. Like, at the end of the day, it's something that's always meant a lot to artists. It's like our championship. But the more you get into the business, the reason why these artists are saying these kinds of things is because you start to learn more about the entire process and you start to see how flawed it is. You start to realize that the people who are deciding these things, it's super murky. The rules are weird. You have people voting that are not in tune with the kind of music that you create at the end of the day. Back in 1989, I think the president of NARAS, that's the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, said that hip-hop had evolved into, or had matured into, an art form with several different types of people doing it. And that year they nominated Will Smith, and he won the first hip-hop Grammy in 1989. And then in 1996, 1997, somewhere around there, Naughty by Nature was awarded the first Grammy for Rap Album of the Year. So at that point, it had taken them a while to even recognize rap and hip hop at the Grammys. And in 1999, Jay-Z actually boycotted the Grammys because DMX had released 2 #1 albums that year and he wasn't nominated for a Grammy. And also, he boycotted it because the Grammys didn't televise the rap album of the year portion of the Grammys at that time. You know, I've had some friends of mine who have been nominated for Grammys and they talk about just with streaming and all the problems in the industry, how hard it is as a nominated artist to even make it to the show. Like, do you guys know that they have a policy where they charge $1,200 for a +1? This is for people who have been nominated for a Grammy, and it ranges from something like $400 to like $2,000 for your tickets for your +1. Now, I know some of you have wondered, or you might have researched how these things work. The Grammys have been criticized for many years for snubbing people. This is nothing new. Neither is the accusations of racial bias. In 2019, for the first time since Outkast won Album of the Year in 2004, rap artists won major award nominations outside the rap categories. Childish Gambino won the first Song and Record of the Year awards ever for a rap song, which is wild. Beyonce has more Grammys than anybody ever, and she's never won Album of the Year. As a matter of fact, only 3 black women have ever won Album of the Year at the Grammys since 1959 when it started. That was Natalie Cole in 1992. It took 30-something years for a black woman to win a Grammy. Whitney Houston won in 1994 and Lauryn Hill won in 1999. No black woman has won Album of the Year at the Grammys in the 2000s. As a matter of fact, only 11 black artists have ever won Album of the Year at the Grammys since 1959. And 2 of them are blind. So that's how exceptional you have to be black and win Album of the Year at the Grammys, I guess. Shouts out to Stevie Wonder for being the first black artist to win Album of the Year at the Grammys, and also Ray Charles. In the second verse of Fake Love, there's some lyrics that I also relate to this subject. It says, if it was for you, I could pretend that I was happy even if I was sad. If it was for you, I could pretend that I was strong even if I was hurt. Wishing that love is perfect as itself, wishing all my weakness is hidden. In a dream that can't come true, I raised a flower that couldn't bloom. Love you so bad, love you so bad. Now, this is a little heartbreaking because I remember seeing the Grammys the following year after the initial snub. BTS had just risen to even crazier heights than the year before. General public had fallen in love with them, and they were nominated again, brought back to perform. I was even starting to feel like some of these shows would like tease and tease and tease just enough to just keep driving the ratings up, knowing that Army would be watching, and just to let them down again. And I remember seeing that video of them waiting to see if they'd won a Grammy. And I know they tried to put on like a strong face for the camera and stuff like that, but I know that they were upset about not winning a Grammy because they know that they deserve it. I can't remember everybody that performed, but I remember they did, and they had hands down one of the top performances of the evening. Just this whole process just feels so flawed to me. I do like some of what's been happening since Harvey and those guys have taken over for the Grammys. I do have more hope for it in that sense, and I don't want the Grammys to feel like something that is a fraudulent process. Like, as a producer, songwriter, artist, like, I still want to win a Grammy one day. I don't know why. It just feels like an ultimate form of validation that, truthfully, I know I don't need it. I know BTS doesn't need the validation. I know Weeknd doesn't need the validation, and not putting myself on those guys' levels, but I'm just saying, like, the validation comes from knowing that there are fans out there in the world that support the art that you put out and that give you the energy back when you get out into public and you perform these records for them in real life. So when I see stories about how many Latin artists, especially in the urban categories, even of Latin music, how much they complain about the Latin Grammys, which have been in existence since the year 2000 or so. And I know how many hip hop artists have complained about the Grammys, myself included. Just the entire process of it is flawed. Even when it comes to rap, in 1991, when the president, I think his name is Mike Green, when he stated that hip hop had matured to this level and there's so many different types of people doing it and da 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 da. Even till today, we barely have any diversity in the rap categories. Hip hop has diversified into so many different types. You have your melodic rap, you have your traditional classic hip hop styles, you have trap, you have just so many different types of rap music that could be celebrated at the Grammy Awards. But what's the point? They don't even celebrate the main categories properly. So when I see that they're making an Asian Grammy Awards, I just see one or two things. Either one way I look at it is like, oh, so instead of giving BTS the Grammy that they earned at one of these American shows over the past 3 years, you want to create an entirely separate Grammys to give them what they deserve. But they don't deserve a Grammy with an asterisk by it. They deserve an American Grammy, in my opinion. You know, if you got to your conclusion by some form of voting process that you have that's proper and pure, and you just decided that something was better, I would have no problem with that. But history says something totally different. And in Asian Grammys, which I'm sure would include Korea, I think they're talking about hosting it in Korea. Obviously, Japan, but Asia is a very, very, very big place. So is that going to include South Asia? Are you going to include Indian music in this process? Who are you going to snub in that format? You know, it seems like in every format of the Grammys that exist, the people from the most urban areas are the ones that kind of struggled the most. And I know Thai pop is getting huge, and some of the groups in the Philippines are doing some really big things. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to check out a girl group from the Philippines this weekend at KCON. So it just begs the question. I just don't have high hopes or high expectations for whatever they have planned for the Grammys in Korea. I mean, the Asian Grammys that will be hosted in Korea. Now, on another hand, you know, it does give me a great shot with Korea being a market that I work in a lot. 30 to 40% of my workload is in Korea. And I'm pretty sure at some point I'll win a Korean Grammy. That might be my irrational confidence, but I think it's a very big possibility. But it just still feels like it's cheapened the whole process. You know, one of the things that people say as to why certain albums don't win Grammys is because in the urban music space, in America especially, you know, the process is very collaborative. You know, someone like Beyonce or Kanye West, they bring in a ton of songwriters and a ton of instrument players and co-producers and so forth, and they get penalized for it. You get penalized for being collaborative. And to me, that's a huge, huge hypocrisy, especially when you see how snubbed rap has been traditionally throughout the Grammys, when most rappers, especially hip hop artists, have always written the majority of their own lyrics. So you don't reward Beyonce in one sense because you say, oh, well, she collaborated with 20 different songwriters on this album. But then you snub Jay-Z, who historically has been glorified for not even having to write his raps down on paper. So this is someone who has been recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his songwriting ability, but has never won. I don't even know if he's been nominated for Album of the Year at the Grammys. And this is someone who is known as one of the greatest writers in hip hop history. And you'll take a group like the Beatles, and shouts out to the Beatles. You don't have to put one group or one artist down to lift up another one. But you'll say that, oh, they're this great group because they all played instruments, but none of them can dance. So does dancing not count for anything? Does dancing and being able to sing not count for something? Because the idea is to entertain, and you can entertain in many ways. And dance is a huge part of what makes an artist great, because artists who can dance often are the ones that can sell out venues and bring people to come out and see the live show. So just which one is it? It's just a lot of hypocrisy going on. And if you're going to make an Asian Grammys, does the process change for how these things are voted for? Because if you have a problem with Beyonce using a bunch of writers on her project, then oh my goodness, what do you think is going to happen when you get into K-pop? Because how do you think those songs are made? And look, they are in an impossible space because the world is really big. The actual award show itself is already like 6 hours long. All the parts that are not televised, that you don't see, like the Grammys, start earlier in the day at the smaller arena next to Crypto, and then we walk over from that arena over to Crypto for the main show that's televised that you all see. So it is an entirely long process. It is something that will never make everybody 100% happy, but I do think there are ways that this show can be more global if the idea is to celebrate music globally and be more inclusive and not create new shows. And if you do want to create another show, then why is it called a Grammy? Like, the Grammy should be specific to the Grammys. There doesn't need to be a Latin Grammys. There doesn't need to be an Asian Grammys. That's just my opinion. You can disagree if you like. I do like that it is a celebration of these different cultures, but I don't trust the system in place that's putting together these celebrations of different cultures. That's fake love. The reason why I feel that way is because I look at my own culture and I look at my own music that I come from, hip hop, and I look at how marginalized we already feel here in America when we create this music that's so popular. You can't go anywhere without hearing it. Yet every year at the world's biggest celebration of music, we are constantly snubbed. And I think that while some artists in the K-pop space may feel like this is a big win for them, to me, I think it's just an excuse to further marginalize them from the main award show. It's like you can go win all these Asian K-pop Grammys over here, but you're not going to be invited to win at the big show. We'll have you come over and sing and dance for the ratings, but you're not going to win over here. You have your own show to go win at. That's what it feels like to me. I could be being a little pessimistic. I understand that, but like I said, I don't trust the Grammys process. And winning a Grammy shouldn't really define like your worth or your success as an artist. And for the Grammys, you've been around since 1959. You're supposed to hold on to this prestige as like a marker for artistry and cultural impact. But somewhere along the lines, it feels like you guys have forgot what you guys are here for. And maybe that's just where we are in the world today. I'm a big sports fan. I watch a lot of sports media, or I used to watch a lot of sports media. I've had to cut a lot of it off. And I've noticed something about, these award shows and these sports analysis shows and just critics in general. Somewhere along the line, you forgot that you don't exist without us. These whole shows are built around the artist being invited and celebrated. But somewhere along the line, it just, to me, feels like a big commercial machine and a big cash grab. So to all my fellow creators that have been tuning in, to my professional athlete homies that have been tuning in, I think somewhere along the line, like critics and award shows have like kind of become like gatekeepers to our happiness for the things that we work hard for. And we got to remember, we run them, they don't run us. Like, we have to create, we have to do something for them to even have something to talk about. Without us doing what we were born to do, what comes so natural to us, they can't go to sponsors and get these big checks to put on these shows and these fancy events and all these reasons to come together just to snub a lot of deserving artists. So we got to remember we have a lot of power when it comes to these things, and these Grammys, they only have as much power as we give them. And at the same time, I still want the Grammys to mean something. They can just do a better job at making them mean more. And so to the Grammys, to the Academy, to the members, to my friends that are members that are checking this out, like, you guys got a responsibility of holding the Grammys and what it means to be a Grammy voter to a higher standard. And if there are problems that are past your voting abilities, then that also needs to be said. I know that these votes are supposedly sent to Deloitte for the nominees, and then Deloitte also gets the final votes that this anonymous committee votes on, and they send everything back sealed, and no one knows what's in the envelopes until they're open on Grammy night. And all of that sounds good and well, but the results have been the same for years and years and years for artists feeling like they're being marginalized at these Grammy shows. You know, they're being invited for ratings. You got Beyonce sitting at the front. You got BTS singing and dancing their asses off just to continuously snub them. And at the end of the day, it's not right. The whole event loses all credibility when the biggest and best artists in the world aren't appreciated and rewarded for their talents. Imagine a world without art for even a day. Imagine a world without music for a week. It would just be a miserable place. And if everybody is depending on us to get their day going, for these award shows to exist, for you to be able to have a workout at the gym, for you to have something to listen to when you're driving in your car, when you're going for a walk, if everybody is dependent on us for those things to happen and we just stop,